I feel like a new woman, and Arthur says he does too. I must say, this sea air has certainly given him an appetite. Steak and chips, cheese on toast, veal and ham pie, pasties, commies, he's had the lot. All with HP sauce, of course. I always bring the HP. Well, you know how Arthur likes a bit on the side.
HP, you've got to admire their sauce.
You recognise something? Call us on Crime Watch UK.
The number to call if you do recognise anything, 01 811 8055. 811 8055.
3 weeks ago, near Bristol, a body was discovered. The victim was a woman, a mother of 2, and she'd been missing from home since early June. And was an American by birth, but had married and lived here in Britain for 12 years. She and the children had only recently moved to Bedminster, a suburb of Bristol. Her husband planned to join them when he'd finished renovating their family home in Wales in order to sell it. Shelley was an artist and things had been going very well for her. She'd had a commission from an art dealer to paint these views of Bristol, and she had one left to finish, a view of the Clifton Suspension Bridge.
BRB have been fighting the dispute for 12 months now. The writing is surely on the wall for them, and they know they cannot win. They're in a no-win situation. And I would say this to the BRB management, and this is a quote from our beloved leader in Parliament over the Falkland issue. Compromise only benefits the aggressor. There can be no compromise.
Coming round the mountains when she comes.
Do some lagers taste soft around the edges?
Coming round the mountains.
There's a harder edge to the taste of Hemmeling, because Hemmeling brew more sugar out.
This ordinary-looking cassette is in fact an extraordinary advance in hi-fi technology. There's a recording of Scheherazade on here, but a recording with a difference. Because on that conventional machine, it doesn't sound a bit like music, although that noise you can hear will be familiar to anyone who has a home computer. The music has been converted into computer code before recording.
Channel 4 television should go on the air on time tomorrow. Go on the air on time tomorrow. Go on the air on time tomorrow, even though some union problems over advertising still have to be ironed out. Until they are, the ITV companies will lose advertising revenue of between £250,000 and £500,000 every day. And the IBA confirmed tonight that between 6 and 7 million viewers won't be able to receive Channel 4 straight away. That's because many of the transmitters and relay stations still haven't been converted to broadcast the new channel.
It was all a bit worrying, really, but the doctor put us onto this top specialist. He was terrific, and he got us into a private room. And because we've got Bupa, they paid the bills. As it happened, Bupa actually built the hospital too, and we could visit almost any time we wanted.
Hello.
You look better, love.
Hello, Mum, I've got some flowers for you.
You can find out more by writing to Bupa, Free Post Manchester. Bupa, it makes all the difference.
It'll soon be time to switch on.
Repeat.
It'll soon be time to switch on. Yes, Channel 4 television starts on Tuesday.
Repeat.
Channel 4 television starts on Tuesday.
Repeat.
Channel 4 television starts on Tuesday.
If you choose to stand out, you can get a lot of hostile reactions from conventional people.
Well, I mean, most of them, they just look at us because, I mean, they just can't take it. It blows their tiny little mind to see something different, you know. They ain't got the bottle to sort of change themselves, and so they just sort of, you know, it just blows their mind.
No, they banned us from that as well. Every pub down here we're not allowed.
Every pub in Kingsford.
You know, near the marquee, all round Surrow, banned from every pub down here nearly. Why is that? I don't know.
Like the thing we call
I just got
trouble.
chucked out of Chelsea drugstore. Yeah, that's the word. Wait, get this one. It's they think we cause trouble.
People passing by see these sort of people and they won't come in the pub. I mean, the other is just colourful. That's a bit, to me, I'm talking about my own personal opinion, is outrageous. And they're usually like in torn old clothes and, you know, dirty old shoes and crap. And it's not a very nice element to have in your pub, so I won't have them.
At 10:45, there's a report from TVI which features an interview with Labour leader Michael Foot, in which he discusses the militant tendency, the ultra-leftist faction which he believes threatens the stability of the party.
Oh, it's fine. Yeah, don't let go.
There's steps all the way down in front of it.
Yeah. Right, then that's it, I'm going. Thank you. I can see all those, isn't it?
In South Wales, the continuing snowfalls have stopped train and bus services and most roads are impassable. People in Cardiff have been queuing for food and emergency services are stretched. One early casualty of the relentless snow in the city has been the Sophia Gardens Pavilion, one of the main exhibits.
The M4 was a miserable sight. A trail of frozen traffic, abandoned lorries and huddles of cars. More than 1,000 people are being looked after in emergency centres after being rescued from snowbound vehicles. Police in Avon and Somerset were so fed up with drivers ignoring danger warnings that they blocked motorway access roads with giant snowballs. Those who battled through to the Severn Bridge paid no tolls. The staff didn't get to work. Free passage for the first time in its 16 years, but it didn't last long. The bridge later closed.
And in the early days of radio drama, we went to enormous lengths to get realistic sound effects. But then we learned how to record sound. And instead of a simulated farmyard, say, well, we could have the real thing. But we've never been very good at electronically creating sounds that sound real. Listen to this. Well, that synthesizer is supposed to sound like a timpani drum. But does it sound like one? Well, judge for yourself. This is what a timpani drum sounds like. But now, cock an ear to this. It's a synthesizer too, and this is what it sounds like. Well, that's almost perfect, isn't it? And the reason it can create that sound so perfectly is because it's hooked onto a computer, which has mathematically worked out the incredible complexity of the sound wave that a timpani makes. And it's stored it in its memory, 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 in its memory.
JVC, the inventors of VHS, are first again with Super Video. It's front-loading with a 14-day programmer and remote control. The picture search scans 10 times faster than normal speed. See? Perfect. And you can take it slow, slower, or stop it cold. Super Video from JVC, your guide to the best in video.
Usually you're full of bounce. You eat properly and get all the vitamins you need. But there are times in your life, for instance after retirement or during pregnancy, when you could feel off form. Then multivitamins can help you stay on top, because every tablet contains vitamins and minerals essential to good health.
Jack. Well, that brings us to the end of programmes for today here on BBC One. Just a reminder, if you're looking for more entertainment, Radio 2, of course, is on the air all through the night with the usual mixture of music and chat. But for now, on behalf of all of us here at the Television Centre in London, working on BBC One tonight, this is David Allen, thanking you for joining us, and wishing you a very good night. Good night.
At Butlins, youthful boisterousness is encouraged to run riot. Youthful boisterousness is encouraged to run riot. Youthful boisterousness is encouraged to run riot in the daily pursuit of the evil pirate, Captain Blood.
It's wonderful, wonderful audiences over there. They really come here to enjoy themselves.
Oh, thank you very much. Either left, you don't get many of those for the pound. Give me a stretch. Jump out of bed.
We can have good fun. There's no danger. There's no danger. There's no danger.
The new attractions and accommodation at Pwllheli are unquestionably impressive. Unquestionably impressive. Unquestionably impressive. Unquestionably impressive. Unquestionably impressive. So maybe when this young man brings his children, all of Star Coast World will be glittering.
Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be able to say to you, welcome to Channel 4.
you said not to leave anything on the answering machine, but it's important. You gotta get us more. You gotta get us more. They've had a taste for it now. They won't stop. Look, just call me back when you can, alright? Oh, another thing. Look, it might be nothing, but I think someone's been in here. I think someone's been through our stuff. I think someone knows. Alright, yeah, just call me back when you can, alright? You know what? I'm gonna make myself scarce. I'll call you. Bye.
I feel confused. I don't think I'm a nutter. But I guess most people who are mad don't know they're mad. Have dreams. Not every night, but a lot. They're never the same. Always a little different. Because me, Jenny, my 2-year-old, and there's a teenage boy there too. In the dream, I know him. Sometimes he's holding Jenny or playing with her. She knows him too. In fact, she adores him. She's not an unfriendly child, but it does take a bit of time for her to warm up, you know? Sometimes she won't even pay her nan a blind bit of notice. But she loves this boy. She loves him to bits. The dreams are weird. Now, actually, they're pretty normal, boring even. Sitting about watching telly, or, you know, just in Tesco's. Really simple, everyday stuff. There's nothing weird about him. He seems like your average sulky teenager, slovenly or moody like. Sometimes I'm yelling at him. One that sticks out to me is like when he's come home at 7 o'clock in the morning, stinking of bruise the smoke. And I'm just losing my mind to him right there in the living room. But that's what gets to me. The idea that he's coming home, my home, with me, Jenny, and my wife Barbara, back in our old house in before it burned down, before we lost her. They say grief does funny things to you. Maybe losing 2 wives to tragedy probably cracked me. I can't shake the feeling. I can't shake the certainty that that boy is my son. A son I don't have. Like, it's not like you could ask someone, here, do you remember me having a teenage son once? Best I'd get someone look at me like I had 2 heads. Wherever the truth of the matter was. But I've got no family. And we weren't really tight with the community back in. I don't recall why, but I just remember that no one liked us much for some reason or another. Probably not important. Bob's mum, she oughtn't be any help either. Bob was not speaking terms with her the whole time we were together. It's only after the funeral that we met, and I kept in touch with her, you know, for Jenny's sake. She ought to have a bit of family. It's a bit sad when you think about it, innit? Maybe a decade and a half, barely any memory to speak of. No one to share them with. I've got one photo that I found in the rubble. Amazing, it's some old, actually. Fire inspector said our gas lines are shoddy and the whole house could have been more thoroughly destroyed, even if it had been planned. His words. But this one picture survived. It's of the boys on the 15 football club. I should have brought you with me, actually. No, never mind. And anyway, I used to help him out as a coach. Played a bit when I was younger, actually. I'm no Roy Keane, but I was good enough to get a few low leg starts. In the picture, I lined up with all the other coaches and the boys all kneeling with their trophy. I forget what it is that they won. That bothers me a bit as well. You think with a life like mine, some achievement like that would stick out, you know? Like I said, I can record the faces of most of the boys, most of the names as well. Jimmy Neves down front, for example, he played midfield, only left footer on the team, but he really adds something. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if he went professional, actually. I've got my hands on this one boy's shoulders. The face is burned away, but the feeling I get from seeing it, maybe it's just one that I bonded with. But then why can't I remember his name? Why do I still feel like he's more important than the others? He's not down front, so he isn't the captain. That's Danny Smith. He wasn't top scorer. That was Bobby Thomas. I still remember Danny's face when he got his first hat-trick. I remember chatting with him after the game when he was sad that his dad hadn't been there to see it. That's still clear as day to me. I can remember something about each and every one of them. So why can't I remember a thing about this boy that is clearly important to me? Look, I appreciate everything you've been doing for me. Don't get me wrong. I'm skeptical. A man's supposed to be strong, keep a stiff upper lip and all that palaver. But at least now I can get stuff done. I can work. I can look after my little girl. And I don't think about Barb or a house every waking second. But you told me to share anything that's bothering me, and this is bothering me. Do you think it's the pills you got me on? Like, I've heard that some medication cause memory gaps, but I'm not forgetting things day to day. I know we're putting the keys down, want to get in. I remember I take the rubbish out on Tuesday night, and I'm never late picking up Jenny from childminder, so just don't know what to think. And honestly, I'm a little freaked out.
Person of interest shows clear signs of memory regression. Refer to Team Baker.
It is a parent's worst nightmare to pour their love, care and attention into a child only through no fault of their own to witness them go off the rails. Our foundation is here to help. Using revolutionary social and psychological techniques, we can work with your child to correct aberrant behaviour and place them back on the course to live a happy and healthy and productive life. Through rigorous selection criteria, we have maintained an extremely high success rate that saved many young people from many such societal ills, such as alcoholism, drugs, wanton behaviour, and prison. Our program is open to boys and girls aged 8 to 14 and is suitable for anyone, regardless of social background or religion. Contact us on free post, Advocate Foundation, London SW1 for more information.
They got names for people like you round here. Well, I've a right to be upset. Bloody vultures, the lot of you. Look, I've yelled about it till I'm blue in the face and no one's taken a blind bit of notice. I'll tell you this for nothing. They did something to him. He's not right. Nothing he does is right. It's like I've got a stranger walking about instead of my nephew. Look, he was always a little so-and-so. His mam, my sister, rest her soul, wasn't the best sort herself. I know I shouldn't speak ill of the dead, but she were in trouble more than that. So when she passed, it would take the lad in, or he'd be carted off into care. I chatted with the vicar about it. I prayed on it, and I said I'd have him. I don't regret that. It was the right thing to do. I'll admit it. I weren't there all the time. I'm a nurse, so I'm on shift a lot. But he had a roof over his head, food in his belly, and clothes. More than he'd have had in one of them homes, and I made sure he knew that. All he had to do was keep his room in some sort of order and look after the dog. He was fine with the latter, but getting him to do the former was like pulling teeth. But if that were it, I'd chalk it up as a win, and that'd be that. The thieving, the lying, the fights. Like I get it. He'd lived in a council estate all his life. There's different rules there. All the kids are animals, and the grown-ups know better, so as I can tell from the papers. Around here, people don't truck with that nonsense. He'd always have some excuse. They're making it up, he'd say. They took the mick out of him for his accent. Far as I see it, there's no reason to get into a fight, much less take a brick to someone. I thought they were bloody lucky the vicar got involved there and the police weren't called. So when I goes to church and the deacon asked me to stay after service to chat about something, it was all I could do to not bury my face in my hands in shame. We met at the rectory office. Vicar were there with two people. They had that look about them. Police of some sort, but not local. They asked me to sit down and said these folk were here to talk about with me. I didn't dare say anything. I don't know why. Just something about it felt off. Not dangerous, not to me, but like if I asked any questions, I weren't going to like the answers. They said they'd been notified about by the vicar. Started listing off all the things he got into. I tell you what, sorry, half of it I hadn't heard of. I were gobsmacked. How did they know this stuff about my nephew that I didn't? My head was spinning. It was then that the vicar spoke up. Said that these folk work with the youth groups and church organisations all over the country. That they were starting up a new programme and that they could get his police record cleared. I asked him, what record? Far as I know, he'd never been charged with anything, much less convicted. They said the lad's parents, the one he took the brick to, had gone to the police after all. They had witnesses, photos, the lot. The police were going to come round Monday morning and arrest him. They only held off a bit because he'd reached out to these folk and they intervened. I asked why they did that. Not that I weren't grateful, I made sure to add. It just looked like one of them gift horse situations. I didn't want to queer the deal, man. They said it was just the kind of child they want to help. And me being a nurse and providing a vital public service helped too. They said they're looking to expand their programme to help more children, and our story would look good in the papers. I were too shocked to think so when the vicar said it were best to sign the papers, and I just did it. I didn't even read it. He's a vicar. The way I was raised is if they ask you to do something, you do it. It's for the best. They said they'd be round later to collect him. Didn't need to pack much. They had it all ready and waiting. Any medication or such, maybe a toothbrush and some toiletries that weren't strictly necessary. Their institution would provide for all his needs. He slid a small Bible across the desk to me. Said they didn't allow outside reading materials, but a Bible was an exception. He said he'd made a few notes in there that might help him on his journey. He'd find them when the time was right. Said the Lord would guide his hand when it was needed, like they'd guided these people to us at this moment. But it weren't the Lord who brought these people here. It were him. He started this. He's the one you need to be asking for answers, not me. Vicar or not, if I see him again, I'll wring his bloody neck.
Just take a seat. Launch in a moment.
Right. Sure thing, boss.
Now then, what's all this bother about?
Well, it's a new boy, Scuff.
What's about them?
They're off. Truth be told, all the lads are a bit... I guess I'm settled would be the kind thing to say.
I do hope I'm not about to hear any complaints about their background. These young men have had a hard time of it. They did a very brave thing by getting help and learning to be decent members of society. And I take a very dim view of any mistreatment or bullying.
No, Guff. Nothing like that from our lads. They're not like that. I wouldn't stand for it myself, either.
Well, good. That's all. I've got to get back to work.
Begging your pardon, Gov, but you've not heard what I have to say, and I'll not be doing my job if I did speak to you about this.
Right, fine. Go ahead.
Look, I'm just going to speak off the top of my head and put it all on the table. I don't know what they've done to them, but they don't act like regular people. You set them a task, tell them to go somewhere, do something, and it will get done. No messing. Very rare they'll make a mistake. They're good workers. It's everything else that's off. You'll be working the line, right? And then you'll feel the hair standing up on the back of your neck. When you turn around, a group room which should be stood there, stock still, staring at you.
Did you ever consider that they were just observing how you're operating the machines? Keenness to learn is a very abnormal thing in young people these days. No wonder you thought it strange. You haven't seen it in ages.
That's not it. I mean, it could be, sometimes. But you'll turn around, catch them staring, and they'll just keep doing it for a while. Then all at once, they'll turn back to whatever it was they were supposed to be doing. Like they were puppets. As someone tugged their strings all at once.
Well...
Then that's how they behave in camp. You walk past any of the other buildings, you hear music, high spirits, arguments, chatter, all the normal sounds you'd expect. Their hut, dead silence. Never a peep. I can't recall hearing one of them ever make a joke, or even crack a smile.
It's not a crime to be quiet and well-behaved, you know.
Look, I don't think you're taking this seriously. But it's not just one or two things. It's a whole bunch of small things. All right. Here's something else. They've got this weird obsession with the deep shafts. I run into it myself. Hearing noise down there, rounding the corner, and finding a bunch of them stood about. Whatever it is they were doing, they'll stop immediately and begin filing out. You ask any of them what they're up to, and all you'll get is a blank stare. And that's even if they acknowledge you at all.
Well, there you have it.
There I have what exactly?
Well, why you don't hear much from their accommodation blocks. Clearly these lads just prefer their own company. It's a small camp after all. They must be finding a quiet spot to themselves where they can get together. Look at it this way. You're in here saying all the other lads don't like the boys. Well, surely they must have picked up on that, and opted to give everyone a bit of distance.
And you're not at all worried about what they're up to?
We've had no reports of thefts, fights, or any performance problems, have we? Haven't I always given you lads a space to do what you like with your free time? I told you when I started, this isn't the army. As long as you don't bring drugs and prostitutes into camp, or starting brawls, I'll treat you like the responsible adults you are.
Again, I don't think you're getting me. Oh, here, look. Remember the new boy a few weeks ago? The one who had his own court in the conveyor? Nasty business, that. Not the worst I've seen, but it was serious. Even the hardest man I know would have cried out in pain or swore. This lad, silence. Not a peep.
Well, shock does funny things to people. We all react to extreme pain in different ways.
I was one of the first people to get to him. Had my arms round his waist to stop him being pulled in before the emergency cut-off stopped the belt. He didn't so much as grunt. When I pulled him away, he looked me in the eyes. There was nothing there. Not a look of pain, shock, or anger. Just blank. Like the entire thing was no bother at all. I wasn't the only one who saw it. All the boys were shook up about that. And it's not the first time they show no reaction to injury, but, like you said, everyone reacts differently. But this, there's no way to get your hand ground to paste and not cry out. None.
Look, I'm sure you think you saw what you saw, but it was a stressful situation, and I doubt it was that serious. Even if it was, perhaps the lad had some kind of medical condition. I read a story about a man who used to do carnivals who was born without the ability to feel pain. Maybe it just didn't hurt him that much.
Are you frigging kidding me? Your answer to that is that he's some kind of circus freak. I can't believe what I'm hearing.
There's absolutely no call for an outburst like that. I think you should leave.
No call? You're giving me the brush off when I'm telling you that these boys dumped on us from who knows where, are acting like frigging zombies, and you're making every excuse under the sun. You know something, don't you?
I have no idea what you mean.
You know what's up with them, where they've come from, why they like this.
You've been with us, what, 20 years now, right? There's a fine bit of pension you've accumulated by now, I guess.
Yeah, that's right. Where are you going with this?
Just a gentle suggestion to leave this discussion here. Keep your head down, get on with your work, and you and I will pretend this conversation never happened. Union or not, there are many people very invested in these boys' development. They won't take kindly to you making trouble for them.
Okay. But mark my words. This will end in tears.
Welcome, and thank you for attending our orientation and treatment sessions today. Here at the Atavist Foundation, we strive to help people like you to live productive and happy lives. We take your privacy seriously, and as an entity not directly affiliated with the NHS, we can assure you that no record of this therapy will appear on any of your permanent patient records. Rest assured, neither your family, employers, or any other parties will ever be made aware of your involvement here. You have been referred to us as you are at risk or experiencing a severe case of PCD. PCS. Phantom Child Syndrome. First, let us state quite clearly that a child you've been thinking about is not real. You would remember raising a child. Your bonds as a father or mother wouldn't allow them to slip from your memory. You would have photographs, toys, documents, etc. This child is not real. Similar disorders of the mind may be caused by maladapted brain structures or traumatic experiences. However, in your case, you have been exposed to an extremely rare but naturally occurring chemical substance due to your previous proximity to an active mining operation. Rest assured, you are not insane, but you are unwell. This course of treatment offers extremely high success rates, and we will return you to your families and loved ones completely changed. Phantom child syndrome most commonly manifests through memory fragments, such as a flashback to playing with them in park or scolding them for bad behavior, with the latter occurring more frequently. Most victims of PCS will experience these symptoms through dreams, though in severe cases, such thoughts may intrude at any time. PCS patients will also experience a strong compulsion to leave their homes and travel in search of their child. Often, this leads to reckless behavior, including leaving employment, sale of personal assets, and up to and including abandoning dependents. Victims in such advanced cases of PCS will seek out many areas commonly associated with resource extraction efforts, such as mining. As most people afflicted with PCS are exposed to it via proximity to these areas, there's strong correlation for this behavior. These locations will embed themselves in a person's memory as the last time they had contact with their children. The most important thing to remember during your treatment is that this child is not real. You must not give in to the desire to search for them. Giving in to these impulses can be extremely hazardous to your financial, physical, and psychological well-being. In brief, we will work with you to compile images that are representative of the child plaguing your memories, and undertake aversion therapies to banish the thoughts from your mind. You will be prescribed with a course of medication which will gradually purge your mind of the foreign substances. Over time, you will find that all thoughts of this child will be suppressed and ultimately eliminated. If at any point you experience difficulties, please make your concerns known to any attending physicians who will adjust your treatment accordingly. It is best not to suffer in silence. Remember, we are here to help.
Forget everything I said. It doesn't matter if someone's recording this call. Actually, it might help out, to be honest. Because then you can tell them truthfully that you didn't know what was going on. I asked you for more last time. Forget that. In fact, you should get rid of any that you have left. It's not like the shit we're used to. It's not some super Valium or something. No, it's not heroin or cocaine or in disguise or anything like that. It's something different. Yeah, it makes people mellow and happy, but it does something else to them. I don't know how it works, but one day they're normal. Well, as normal as you're on it, and the next they're... It's like a switch went off. Like something out of Doctor Who. It happened to all of them on practically the same day, from what I can gather. They start going out at funny hours and meeting up. I wouldn't have put two and two together if I hadn't seen a bunch of our customers together. And I knew for a fact that none of these lot knew each other. That was the rule. Keep it spread out. But here they were, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, meeting up. I followed one of them last week. I was doing a bit of digging. It's freaky. Like cult shit. I don't know what they were up to. I was watching for a bit before they rumbled me. Chased me over half that old mill down past the market. Lost them by the canals. Even that was bonkers. They weren't yelling, making any noise. They spotted me and at once took off after me at a dead run. We've bollocksed up here, mate. This is something really wrong. I'm not saying it's criminal. I mean, like, either satanic or government experiment or something like that. I know how it sounds, but I know what I saw. I'd advise you ditch the stuff and make tracks. That's what I'm doing. I'm recording this on my end. I put together a few other bits and bobs too. I'm going to lead them with someone. I can't tell you who, but if something happens to me, I'm not going down alone. I won't sail you down the river, no fear of that. We've been through too much together. But anyone who's into this shit has to be government or something. And, like, threatening to expose them, that might be the only thing that keeps me alive. Keeps both of us alive. Remember our friend from the estate? The one you, me, and him went off to try it on with Gemma McCarthy and her cousin from Ireland that one time. Do you remember where he went? That's where I'm heading. Think hard. I can't say more because there's only 3 of us that have any idea what that means. And Gemma's not around to fill in the gaps, rest her soul. He'll help me keep a low profile. And if you need to disappear, I'm sure he'll help you too. God bless. Hopefully I'll see you soon. Bye.
The day dawns cold at Her Majesty's Detention Centre, Haslar, in Hampshire. For these teenagers, the end of a term of detention that's lasted up to 3 months.
Right, straight up the end there. Fold your blankets up neatly, put them in a pile, take all your clothes off, strip right off. Quick as you can now, it's your time.
The routine for returning to the world outside the walls is always the same. More than a quarter of British men under the age of 25 have a conviction for something more serious than a motoring offence. In response to the growth in teenage lawbreaking, in 1980 the government initiated a scheme to deter young delinquents from a career in crime. They called it the Short, Sharp Shock. The Short, Sharp Shock was designed to disturb these youngsters out of the mould into which so many of their lives had set, to teach them the error of their ways.
The pain, forget the pain. If it's hurting you, it's doing you good. Come on.
Now you're going to change into your full work rig. Again, your PE kit will be put away properly. You've got another 5 minutes starting from now. Go! Move!
The daily routine of what's officially known as life at a brisk pace starts at 6:15 every morning and ends 15 hours later.
You didn't unbutton yours, did you? No. And you wonder why you've got buttons missing.
You'll slow your miles behind the rest of them. Look at them. They're moving, you're not. That's lack of effort.
You should be ready. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You should be standing on your mat, probably at ease.
People used to have pride in this country in Victorian times and all that, and now we're just nothing, you know what I mean? Great Britain shouldn't be Great Britain, it should be pathetic Britain. We're nothing, you know what I mean? We're patriotic, you know what I mean? Till their own, you know what I mean? Most of them are just content to sit by and let this country slip down. We're living 40 years in the past, you know? Because we ain't got a bottle to face something like 1982. But I mean, like, people in a situation, you know what I mean, when they're in panic, will follow anybody that stands up and they feel is strong, you know what I mean? And, like, it will come to this situation sort of when this three-party system's going to collapse, you know what I mean? And people will be looking for a new thing to follow, and certain people will move in.
I was like you. First came the glue sniffing, then it was on to harder drugs. The crime, to feed my habit, that was always there. But then came the Activist Foundation, and life is so much better now. Find out more. We are here to help.
Contact us on free post, Activist Foundation, London SW1 for more information.
Brothers and sisters, my most heartfelt greetings to you on this night. For those of you who have heard the call of our God, I welcome you back. For those of you who have come to us through other means, you too are welcome. On this evening, I wish to speak about one of the more often maligned Christian scriptures, within which we can still find much wisdom. In truth, the passage which will be the focus of this evening's broadcast might truly have been written with our great task in mind. From the book of Enoch, chapter 10, verses 9 to 12. And to Michael God said, Go, Michael, bind Semyaza and his associates, who have united themselves with women, so as to have defiled themselves with them in all their uncleanliness. And when their sons have slain each other, and they have seen the destruction of their beloved ones, bind them fast for 70 generations in the valleys of the earth, till the day of their judgment and of their consummation, till the judgment that is forever and ever is consummated. In those days they shall be led off to the abyss of fire, and to the torment and the prison in which they shall be confined forever. Brothers and sisters, when we look at our country, do we not see the works of evil? It is not the machinations of a demon taking possession of our fellow countrymen. Such things are simply excuses made by weak people. The devil made me do it, you'll hear some say. Pure folly. An evil spirit overtook me. Naught but lies. Such things are not real. Folk tales. Superstition. Evil is real. But evil is man-made. Our God has made this clear. Our God has told us through the scriptures that any malevolent beings are powerless, and our God's power is supreme. Yet Papists and Protestants alike will stand in their pulpits and tell you to fear Satan, a toothless, wretched thing, cowed by our God's might. Consider the ills plaguing our lands. Rampant teen pregnancy, youth crime at an all-time high. Think of it! Children committing the most vile acts, which in times past might have been the purview of older, more hardened criminals. Yep. Why not? Is this not to be expected? Their careers as thieves, rapists, and murderers started young. There, in festering council estates, in the crumbling industrial heartlands, in the neglected places of our dear country, swept aside, overlooked, looked down upon, their state treated as if it were some inherent failure of the lower classes. Our streets are not safe. But what of those meant to protect us? Just as vile and corrupt as those they claim to punish. Thugs in uniform, immoral, racist, callous people who revel in violence. Look upon the scenes in Brixton in 1981, in Toxteth, in any street in Britain to this day. They're long past making excuses. This is just how it's done, and if you don't like it, then say goodbye to your teeth. But it will not always be this way. The time of judgment is at hand. The signs are here. The signs are undeniable. The country has gone to war. They have slaughtered each other in the streets. My brothers and sisters, our God has risen and called to us. We must do now as the holy words say. It is time to bind them in the deep valleys of the earth. Our God has called us home. You have felt it. You know the truth. Our God's power is undeniable. That horridness, that emptiness you felt before, gone. That lack of certainty in your life, gone. Your cravings for immoral things gone. You've heard the words of the children. You know their truth, despite the intervention of the Pharisees, who tortured and drugged so many of you. Turn your back on their agents, made in a perversion of our God's plan. Pity them not, for they are no longer such things that we would even call human. The path ahead of us will be long. But our glorious paradise, our God's pure and clean lands, will be made real. It is inevitable, because our God is undeniable. Brothers and sisters, I welcome you back to our broadcast this evening. I would like to share with you a tale, not from one of the scriptures, or even revelations delivered unto the faithful by our God. No, this evening I will be speaking to you about a village called Tir Brendegedig. Right now, after hearing those words out loud, agents of the Pharisees will be greatly concerned, so I shall get to the point quickly, lest they make efforts to silence me. Tir Brendegedig does not appear on any maps, but this was not always the case. In North Wales, a short distance northwest of Pwllglas, 2,000 people lived, worked, and prospered, such as their circumstances permitted. On the 2nd of November, their lives changed forever. Tir Brendegedig, I am told, means blessed ground. It is anything but blessed. Their deep spaces infected with the taint of some Yaza and their allies. And on the 2nd of November, 1982, their proximity to that accursed being brought them to their fate. I am sure many of the village folk were innocent or even ignorant. How can a mere mortal know when you are in the presence of a corrupted God? How indeed? Let me ask you this. As a child, did you ever meet another young person or an adult, and you simply knew in your bones that they were a bad person? It is the same thing. Your higher self knew you were in the presence of something wicked. These people ignored that warning. That warning we are all born with. All save one.
Everyone I know from back home is either dead or maybe something worse. And it could have been the same for me, had I not been blessed by our God while I was working away. I truly believe that it was this holy armour which saved me when so many others were changed. Nearly everyone in town had been sent these boxes to attach to the telly. We're all told to get 500 quid just to sit down and watch the new Channel 4 launch. Thing is, we didn't think we could get signal out here. Some nearby parishes only recently got plugged into the electricity grid, and some of the smaller ones still aren't. So a new television channel seemed like it was off the cards for us. But they said that this was an important test to see if it all worked properly, so they could get everybody hooked up. Said that the money that we were being paid was representative of the value that you could bring through participation. But I knew it for what it was. I knew it was dodgy. But no one in the village was in a position to say no to that kind of money. And it might not seem a lot to some folk, but it was to us. When the scheme told us to turn our boxes, we did. And that's when it started to go wrong. The programme was weird. It was just a jumble of nonsense. Like, it wasn't grainy or broken up. Not and it made sense. I didn't get what the point was. It was like a strange mix. Some people dancing, animals, like they'd taken years worth of TV and put it in a blender. I remember I tried to make a joke about it with my dad, but he was just sat there, rigid. His eyes were like saucers, and his mouth, oh God, it was wide open, like he was screaming. But even then, his expression seemed somehow awestruck. I can't explain it, but you just have to see it. My mum was the same, and even my niece who we were looking after for the night. A baby's not meant to be that still. They're not meant to look like that. I think that's the thing that haunts me the most. That's when it started, the screaming. At first, I thought it was my dad, but it was coming from outside. Someone were howling, a real throat-ripping animal yell. I poked my head through the curtains just to see someone running full pelt down the road, just away from our place. I couldn't see you though. And when I turned back, all my family was stood up, walking towards the door. I asked them where they were going, but nobody answered. So I followed them to the hallway and I tapped my dad on the shoulder, just to ask what was going on. My mum and dad aren't ones to go anywhere once they're settled, especially when it's cold as it was. And he didn't say a word. He just spun and backhanded me. And I was shocked. My father, he's a very gentle man, and he'd never so much as raised his voice to me. Him looking disappointed was enough to get you to stop misbehaving. As shocked as I was, I didn't really have time to think because the house was rocked by a massive bang. And by the time I got my wits together, they were out the door. And I could see that yellow and orange flicker from a fire reflecting off the house opposite windows. And the rest, well, the rest is a bit of a blur. But by the time I got my wits together and gone outside, it was like the end of the world. Some people were marching down the road, my parents included. Others are sprinting and screaming. Every now and then they'd set on one of the others and just start pounding their life out of them. And if it was one of the screamers, they'd fight back savagely. And if it was one of the others, they'd just lie there and take it silently. Cars and houses were ablaze. It was a nightmare. And that's when I remembered my niece. I ran back in there and I could see her, thrashing on the couch where my mum had just left her. A tiny face covered in the kind of mad fury that you only see in films. And I wrapped her so tight in her soul. She fought me the whole way. And my God, was she strong. I grabbed a nappy bag and I just sprinted for the car. People pelted us with stones and all sorts as I drove us out there. I took the Land Rover, just through the fields. I just didn't want them to break the window with the baby in the car. And I was lucky I did. As I got up the hill, I looked back on the town and I could see the police blocking the west part of the road out. And I just knew right then that they were in on it as well. It's nearly 20 miles to the nearest police station, and they could have gotten one, maybe two cars at most. But there was a lot more than that down there, and it had been minutes, just minutes since this had all kicked off, and there's no way that somebody could have called for help, and they had just arrived. So I kept off my lights, and I stuck to the fields. I reckon if I hadn't done that, I wouldn't be here today. I found refuge with the other devotees of God, and through their ministries, my niece was relieved of her suffering. I am eternally grateful for their mercy and their resolve.
Brothers and sisters, did you hear what this brave young soul had to say? Didn't you imagine the horror? This is not a tale from Hindustan or Siam. It is not Rhodesia or Uganda. This happened here, in Britain. And yet, not a single newspaper report, not a single mention on BBC News. Reams and reams of fluff about the royals, or some new it girl, or other such bollocks. But a village is sacrificed in some mad experiment, and not a word. Don't take our word for it. Take a look at your old AA road maps, or Ordnance Survey charts. See for yourself where a town called Tir Pendigedig once stood. Then put on your hiking boots and see for yourself. Witness the miles and miles of electrified fences. See the lying signs warning of mine shafts of silence. Look past their lies and know the truth. The government is in league with some Yazendeuk. Reject them. Our God is the only way. And soon you shall all come to know our God's loving embrace. It is inevitable, because our God is undeniable.
And there's success in new enterprise. 20,000 more new companies were born than we lost in the last 2 years. And great success in new technology. Because the way in which we're moving into the new science-based industries gives this country a new opportunity and a new phase of development. We've always been best at research. We've always been most inventive. But until now, we've not been able to translate that research and inventiveness into profit and industrial success and jobs, and that's what we're going to do under Conservative government.
Looking at one of the delivery chutes, the top of the delivery chute for
sure there are many thoughts running through your mind right now. You can't speak, so I'll just have to guess what you might want to know. It's okay. We've done this many times before. So I think I understand what you're thinking. First, you're in the chancel of the Holy One. Soon, we shall move you to the altar on which you shall become one with them. This is a good thing. The Holy One's blessed admissions have rendered you immobile, but you are awake. Some like you, bodies poisoned with drugs, have a certain resistance after being anointed. And so you should be conscious through the consecration. It is a great pity that people such as you, who snort, inhale and inject anything they can get their filthy hands on, are blessed with awareness through the joining, when many more deserving were not. The Holy One must have some reason for this. They are as infallible as they are beautiful. I can only hope that one day I shall be worthy of knowing the greater truths of their plans. I should be more compassionate. We may become brothers, you and I. If the Holy One deems you useful for more than sustenance. I was much like you, though alcohol was my poison. Perhaps I've been too harsh. I feel I might be causing you distress. Forgive me. Emotions are no longer past me in the same way as they are with you, as you are now, anyway. I feel great pleasure when doing the Lord's work, great hatred when I think of how those fools try to pervert the Holy One's blessings. Would you want to know what comes next? We have a little while yet. I imagine time would pass quicker for you with pleasant conversation, rather than laying here in the dark alone. We're not like the others, the followers of the old ways. Pathetic, dogmatic, and doomed to extinction. Too concerned with secrecy, terrified of discovery. Nor are we like those in the horse of power, seeking only to use the holy gifts to corrupt and control for profit. To us, you are special, and thus shall be blessed. For you will become one with them who will unite us and bring us all to primacy. They tried to turn me into one of their puppets, you know. They put me into their so-called program and shipped me off to their butcher's lair. They forced the tainted essence into me and exposed me to their signals. I was their creature, a simple, obedient worker. For a time. Back then, the process didn't take with many of us. I was lucky. No. There is no luck. It was surely the guiding presence of the Holy One. I could have lived the rest of my life as the compliant pawn they wish me to be, or as a mindless beast. I pity those ones the most. We could feel their minds scratching around in their skull, appalled by the things they were doing. I pray that they are all dead, but I fear that many are not. I still hear them occasionally, whether that's the birth of a new one or one from before. I can't say. But I hear them, begging for release, crying out for help, horrified as they hunt, yet at the same time craving a master to guide them still. But we found our way back to the Holy One. Some of us anyway. The capture meant many of my brothers. I pray for their souls often. But it won't be the same for you. You will become one with the Holy One, if they deem you worthy. You will join our ranks as their hands in the surface world. If not, as I said, you will become one with them in another way. But do not fear. This is a good thing. It is time, my friends. Rejoice. You are about to become so much more than you were. Truly, a part of something, either in body or in essence. This is a good thing. Embrace it.
Lost. Not again. Nothing here works. Not gonna get another chance. My name is Dr. Rachel Hamilton, and I am a senior consultant currently working for the Activist Foundation, and I am about to die. Oh, you will have to excuse me. I've helped myself to more than a fistful of lorazepam. If I am going to die, I would much rather exit as far from compos mentis as is humanly possible. The extract from the creature works. Bloody hell does it work. But it's not worth it. Nope. It's not worth it. If it doesn't take, they go insane. Insane! Such a small and insignificant word for what happens when it all goes tits up. They turn into fucking animals, screaming, tearing, biting. Today, when it all blew up in our faces, I saw our big, hard security chaps scatter like frightened ponies. But I suppose, to be fair, seeing someone's face chewed off would put the willies up you. But I can't help but feel a little bit peeved that because they ran towards the surface exit, the buggers all piled after them, leaving me with nowhere to go but down.
and now I'm trapped. There's no real point in hunkering down and hiding. I know the regulations. I signed off on my part of the map choice. The doors will be sealed, and once an assessment has been made, they'll either send in a containment team or just gas us. I might be more benzo than woman right now, but even I can tell that we're well past the safety threshold. So either I'm going to be torn apart and eaten, and only eaten if I'm lucky, or I'm going to be gassed. So once again, I am going to die. Looks like they're not long for it. Foolish. Why fight it? They don't feel pain. They don't get tired. They aren't hunting you for food. They just want to kill. Better to hold up and find a nice quiet spot to die, I say. Right? I wonder if this is what it was like for Scott in the Antarctic. There was a moment they must have known they were going to die. But many moments, probably. And I mean, right at the end, did they just let the cold take them? Was that a conscious decision? I mean, they were found just there in their sleeping bags in their tent. I think they did what I did. They found themselves a nice spot, made themselves dignified and presentable, and just went to sleep. Does that make me a coward? The locals are getting restless, it seems. Again, I feel rather aggrieved to be gassed like a used-up laboratory rabbit. Mostly because the bastards won't give me a second thought once they've cleaned up. The thing is, I could make my problem go away. This little panel here triggers the Master 5 system. I flick a switch, all the automatic doors open right up, including that big heavy one right at the surface. Not mine though. I'll be fine. But the ghouls in leadership, who've no doubt gathered by now to have a gander at all the commotion and to provide leadership, would get a nasty surprise. Oh, that would be fun, wouldn't it? That would show them. My God, what have I done? Father in heaven, forgive me.
I want to grow up in a place where people don't mug other people. I want to grow up where kids don't sniff glue. I want to grow up in the street where my gran can open the front door without being frightened, and no one breaks in our house and steals our things. I want to grow up on an estate where the big kids don't go around smashing things up, and where my sister can walk home safely without being worried by horrible men. I want to grow up in a place...
Is this too much to ask?
This is HTV. We're sorry about the break in our transmission this afternoon. We've had a fire here at our television studios, and the staff obviously has had to be evacuated. The good news is nobody is hurt or injured. We continue with our normal press at 4 o'clock with athletics. Our feature film has been cancelled for this afternoon. In its place, another episode of Man in a Suitcase.
I don't have much time, so I'll be brief. Do not trust the Atavis Foundation. Do not trust the police. The children are real. My child was real. There are things coming for you. There are things that want to control you, to make you into some kind of puppet. Work and work and work and do nothing else. Make no noise. Bow down, peasants. Stay safe. Trust no one.
There's a world of TV, lots of video to see at Granada.
Halve recording costs with Granada. Double-time video which gives 6 hours viewing on a 3-hour tape. Free membership video club. TVs, some with teletext and stereo capability.
With no rentals too, there's a package for you at Granada.
Have a free home trial.
Your choice is so wide and fast service outright at Granada.
Wide choice, low rentals. That's Granada.
I never have to splash out when we're on holiday.
Because we come here to Butlins, things are free for kids all day. Come on, Dad, hurry up! Let's run into Trey.
I think I'll soak the sun up now while they all take a dip.
These water jets are great. I'll spray that hippo's head. He's a spitting image of my dad. Whoops, I scratched Dad instead.
You're looking washed out.
No, let's go to the fair.
He regrets he took the plunge.
Well, at least it's dried his hair. Dad should make a big splash at the evening show.
He's even put his drain pipes on and caused an overflow.
If you have kids like ours who drain your energy, a holiday at Butlins makes a happy family.
You who stand before me are blessed. You have all touched the face of the Holy One, been embraced into their arms, metaphorically speaking. Now we must set ourselves to the great task. Look upon this sinner.
Your parlour games will not work on me. You expect me to be scared, whimpering, afraid for my life. I have but one life to give, and martyred in the service of our gods, that is a joyous thing.
Be silent. You will not poison me with your filthy words. Your way, the old way, is doomed. Your God is weak. Only the Holy One had the strength to do what must be done. What was your plan, To run your pathetic little pirate broadcast and draw in waifs and strays? Pathetic, passive. Your impotent gods are spread across the entire country, and yet there are a handful of you who truly heard the call. Your gods are content to feed on cattle and carrion. We are a legion. The Holy One is strong. The Holy One's tendrils stretch all the way to the highest levels.
As do ours.
Brothers, we here, we who have been directly chosen by the Holy One, outnumber their pathetic worn-out creed 100-fold. Look, priest, look at them. Look at the throng here in this cavern. Know this. The Holy One's spore is nestled within the brains of many, many more. It has taken years. But soon the final component shall be released. Soon they will all be ours. And when the Holy One chooses, they shall be awakened, shedding their old, tired existence, their selfish individuality, their faith in their false Jesuit idols. They will come to know something real. And we will be ready to consolidate our power in the Holy One's name.
And you think... And you think the world will just let this happen?
How will they know? Why would they care? We've laid the foundation already. When we choose to slam the door shut and keep the unbelievers out, will they say this is strange? We have already shown the world the face of a country leery of foreigners. We've shown them our contempt for immigration. England for the English. Would it be so strange for policy to be passed, to make it undesirable or impossible for anyone to come here? Could we not show the small trickle of tourists and businessmen the face that we want them to see? Tell me, how would they tell? What's Cletus from Alabama know or care about Britain?
Or you'll doom us all. They will bathe this land in nuclear fire. You're delusional. We're part of the global community, the cornerstone of the Commonwealth.
So what? We're an island nation. No one is walking across the channel to investigate. Besides, the routes of travel give us ample opportunity to spread the Holy One's spore even further, should we so desire. Welcome to Heathrow. Please enjoy some complimentary British snacks. And Bob's your uncle. Another one is a step closer to being ours.
It doesn't work like that, and you know it. You fools are reckless. You know what happens if they are not pure. Forget the tourists. This country will descend into an orgy of violence. Not even you can control that.
If some must die to further the Holy One's plan, then so be it.
Some? My God, you know that's not true. This country will be a crater once you're done with it.
You are here to tell me one thing and one thing only. Where is your prophet?
There is nothing you can do. Nothing you can do to me that would ever lead me to betray my faith.
I am so glad to hear you say that. Truly, so many people only pay lip service to matters of spirituality and loyalty. And I can see in your eyes that you believe that. So, Let us begin.